Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. And this is an opportunity to be with one another, to be mechazek one another, and just seeing one another and spending time with one another is already a source of chizuk. So let's just begin with quickly and but meaningfully with a parak of Tehillim Kuf Chaf Aleph. And you can say that along with me, or just have the words in mind. Shir lamalos esaynai la'arim me'ayin yavo ezri me'im Adonai osei shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamrot raglecha al yanum shomrecha hinei lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yom HaShemesh lo yakeka v'yareach balayla Adonai yishmarcha mikora yishmor es nafshecha Adonai Yishmar Tzeischa V'echa Me'ata Ve'ad Olam. And with that Tehillim, we have our soldiers in mind. We have those that have been kidnapped in mind. Those that are suffering. Those that are in hospitals. Please God, they are healing. And all those that are going through a stressful and a very difficult time here in Israel and Jews throughout the world. We have them in mind as we just recited that kapitel Tehillim. So let me share the following idea with you, which I think is appropriate, especially for these days. And I know a question that all of us have been asking ourselves and continue to ask ourselves is, in what way can we be helpful? In what way can we make a difference in terms of this very, very difficult, very trying time? And all of us are trying to find a way to do that. And the idea of this is and the fact that we're thinking this way and we're acting this way is very profound and very much a Jewish idea, an idea that is sourced in the Torah itself. And Rabbi Soloveitchik has the following teaching, and one which I'd like to share with you. And the name of this teaching is can be captured in a single word, and the word is shlichut, which means that we are here with a mission. We think about the soldiers in Israel, that they're on a mission, but every single Jew is to think about their mission. Think about their mission in a larger sense, in terms of what we are to do here in this world, that God has given us an neshama, has given us time in this world, on this earth. What is it that we are to do in the larger sense, in terms of the life that we lead, the occupation that we choose? But then we also have a question on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. What is it that is my role? How is it that I can make a contribution? And that's something that we're thinking about today, literally all of us, as we wake up this morning and here in Israel and throughout the world. In what way can we make a difference? What is my shlichut? What is it that I am supposed to do in a divine sense, what God has in mind for me to do here in this world, today, this week? And Rabbi Soloveitchik quotes the following pasuk, and he says the pasuk that we often read quickly, we overlook, and he says that this is very much the source for the idea of shlichut, and it goes back to Moshe Rabbeinu, a part of the story that we're all familiar with, where God comes to Moshe and says that I am choosing you and I'm sending you to go to Mitzrayim to free the Jewish people, to redeem the Jewish people. And the pasuk says in Shmot, V'ata, and now, V'ata with an ayin, Lecha v'eshlachacha el Paro, and you are to go to Paro. And Rabbi Soloveitchik points out that the word in the pasuk Lecha, which is similar to the word Lech, or Lech Lecha, that we're going to be reading in this week's parsha, that really should have been sufficient in the pasuk, Lecha Lech el Paro, but that's not where the pasuk ends. The pasuk adds the words V'eshlachacha. And here, Rabbi Soloveitchik says beautifully that this is the idea of shlichut. This is the idea that we are to be an emissary, that we are to represent God, so to speak, in this world. And it goes back to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was a shaliach, and all of us also, every single Jew in their lifetime, that we are to think about our shlichut. Rabbi Soloveitchik quotes from Rav Kook, Rav Avraham Yitzchak Cohen Kook, which he does not do often, and perhaps this is the only time that I'm aware of that Rabbi Soloveitchik quotes a teaching from Rav Kook, in which Rav Kook speaks about a line from the davening that we say And this we just said a few weeks ago. It feels like a long time ago. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, at the end of the Amidah, we say, Elokai ad shelo notzarti eini kedai. We say, before I was created, I had no purpose, eini kedai. Ve'achshav shenotzarti, and now that I've been created, now that I have been put on this earth, ki'ilu lo natzarti. It is if you did not create me, or I did not have purpose in my creation. At first glance, it sounds like a bit of a depressing statement, right? There was really no need for me before I was created, no need for me after my creation. I haven't really lived up to my potential. And that's exactly what Rav Kook says, or the way that he interprets this line from the davening. Elokai ad shelo notzarti eini kedai, before I was brought into this world, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, there was not a purpose, not a reason necessarily for my existence. But now, God, you've brought me into this world, at this place, at this time. And if I do not fulfill my mission, my purpose at this time, ki'ilu lo notzarti. But what that means is that we are to look for those opportunities. We are to look around, look within our own community, within the community of OUisrael, and to say to ourselves, and I think many of us, all of us, are thinking that way. But that really is a very profound and a very beautiful, and that's really a very noble way of living. And that is, what is my role? What is my purpose at this moment? Rabbi Soloveitchik quotes another Gemara, which is a well-known Gemara, a Gemara that's found in Maseches Nida, that speaks about the fetus in the womb of the mother. At that point, the fetus, as we all know, learns the entire Torah from a malach. But the Gemara, within that same Gemara, it says the following. It says that there is an oath that is taken at that moment by the fetus right before it enters this world. And the Gemara says, Umahi ashvuah. What is that oath that's taken by that little fetus? Shemashbian oto, tehei tzadik va'al tehei rasha. That we are to live our lives as tzadikim, as sidkanios, and we are not to live our lives in with negativity or in a bad way, in a wicked way. And Rabbi Soloveitchik says that this is another source that we can look towards, that speaks about a shvuah, that we take an oath. And the idea of taking an oath means that we have a sense of responsibility, that we are here, each of us, and we are asking ourselves that question: in what way can I take responsibility when, especially at this time where Am Yisrael is facing difficult times? What responsibility can I take upon myself? In what way can I make a difference? And I think one of the keys to kind of thinking about this idea and putting it in context in terms of how we can make a difference is one other Gemara that is also quoted by Rabbi Soloveitchik in it's a beautiful article, a beautiful teaching that he titles Shlichut. And he quotes the following Gemara. This is in Maseches Brachos. It's Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. And it says the following: Meragla bepumayhu derabanan v'yavne. The Gemara says that this was the statement that was often made, that it was ragil bepumayu, in the mouths of the rabbis of Yavne. And this is what they said. And this was, I guess, commonly said or often said by the rabbis. And this is the quote: Ani beria v'chaverai beria. I am a creation of God, and my friend is a creation of God. My contemporary is a creation of God. Ani malachti be'ir. My work is to be done in the city. V'hu malachto b'sada, and he works out in the fields. Ani mashkim lemalachti. I get up in the morning. I do my malacha. I do my work. V'hu mashkim lemalachto, and he is engaged in his work. Kishem shehu eno mitgader b'malachti. Just as he does not take on the work that I do, kach ani eni mitgader b'malachto. I do not take on his work. And what the Gemara is saying is that everybody has their particular shlichut. And again, in the days and the circumstance that we're in right now, all of us are making the contribution that we can make, that we can take upon ourselves, the little bit that we can do. And the comparison of this person doing more, or these individuals or this community doing more than I'm doing, is, in the eyes of the Gemara, that's not necessarily a healthy comparison. We should not be comparing one to the other. Ani beria v'chaverai beria. Ani malachti be'ir v'hu malachto b'sadeh. Everybody has their place. Everybody's contribution is an important contribution, is a significant contribution. Those that are on the battlefield are making their contribution. Those that are providing for the soldiers are making their contribution. Those that are providing for those that have been displaced from their home, that is their contribution. I just got a call the other day of many people that are staying in a hotel nearby that need their laundry done. We don't even think about that they don't have the washing machines. That you have hundreds of families that are staying in hotels with children. How are they doing all of their laundry? So the people that are picking up, that responsibility, that's the contribution that they are making. Everybody making their contribution is considered to be significant. We're all part of the same effort. And the Gemara then ends with the following words, which are very, very beautiful. The Gemara says that we really should not make the comparison between what each is doing. It's really just a question of everybody doing it with the right intent. The Gemara says, V'shema tamar ani marbe v'hu mamit. I might say that this one's doing more and this one's doing less. That's not the right thing to say. Shaninu, we should say the following. This is the teaching that's most significant. Echad hamarbe ve'echad hamamit. Whether you're doing a lot, whether you're doing a little, ubilvad sheyechaven libo l'shamayim. As long as everybody is doing it for the sake of heaven, and everybody is making their contribution for the sake of heaven. Those that are tying tzitzis, those that are making food for those that are in need, those that are davening more, those that are reciting Tehillim, those that are learning Torah, and they have a name of a soldier in mind or having tzahal in mind as they're learning. Everybody who's making their contribution in their way, that's l'shem shamayim. All of that is going towards the effort, and the fact that it's all l'shem shamayim is making a significant difference. And the words of the Mishnah and Pirkei Avos come to mind as well. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, that we can't possibly, and we were just talking about that earlier, Chana and myself, we can't possibly do everything. We at times it feels so overwhelming. But the Mishnah says that lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, that you can't possibly do it all. Lo ata ben chorin libatel mimenu. But that doesn't exempt you either, that we're all trying our best, we're all giving what we can. And again, as the Gemara says in Brachos so beautifully, that everybody that's doing it l'shem shamayim, it's not a question of comparison, it's a question of everybody making their unique contribution. One other teaching from Rabbi Soloveitchik along the lines of shlichus, and the idea of shlichut, it's a philosophical concept that we just spoke about. It's a broad concept, but it's also a halachic concept as well. The idea of being a shaliach, and that works in a very technical way in terms of halacha. We're probably most familiar with the idea of shlichus as a shliach tzibur, somebody that, we use that term, that's somebody who's representing the entire congregation, something that you're not necessarily doing on your own, that one person is assigned to do. And that's the idea of shlichut in halacha. But we also, another example of shlichut, and very often when we speak about shlichut in halacha, is that the shaliach is the one that is engaged in the activity, but the other person who has sent the shliach is not engaged in that activity. The Gemara, we're learning Gemara Kiddushin, the Daf Yomi, Gemara Gittin, that we assign somebody else to deliver the get. We assign somebody else to act on our behalf in terms of a marriage. So we're not there. We're assigning somebody else. Rabbi Soloveitchik says when it comes to the shlichut of Hashem, of God, the Holy One, that He gives us a shlichut here on this earth, there is a difference and there is a contrast between the halachic shlichut and this kind of shlichut. In the halachic shlichut, the shaliach sends the person, and then that person is on their own. But that's not the case in terms of our shlichut. The shlichut that we engage in, Hashem remains with us. God has sent us, but God is also there. God is at our side in terms of all that we are doing. And everybody that is acting as a shaliach, and so many of us, what an incredible time, what a remarkable time in terms of so many people that are really taking on that position of being a shliach Hashem, those that are serving the army, those that are volunteering, those that are davening, those that are learning, that Hashem is with us in that shlichut. And we should very much feel that presence of Hashem in all that we're doing, to feel the embrace of Hashem, to feel the closeness of Hashem, as all of us are taking part, all of us are volunteering, all of us that are making an effort in terms of the needs of OUisrael at this moment. I'll just conclude with the following teaching. The teachings that I just shared up to this point, all of them really come from Rabbi Soloveitchik, and I think it's always important to turn to our great spiritual leaders at this time, the great spiritual personalities, and to see and to learn from them how is it that we are to conduct ourselves in difficult times. Another great personality, one of the greatest of the last 150 years, was the Chofetz Chaim. And the Chofetz Chaim, we know that he wrote a number of very important books, famously the Sefer Chofetz Chaim, he becomes known as the Chofetz Chaim based on that Sefer, the Mishnah Berurah as well. He writes many, many works, I think 40 or 50 volumes, some of them being smaller pamphlets, but many, many works. One of them is known as Ahavat Chesed. That's one of the works of the Chofetz Chaim, the love of Chesed, and it's a sefer all about Chesed, all about the importance of Chesed and the halachot of Chesed as well. He has the halachot of Bikur Cholim, the halachot of lending money, all of that and many other topics in this sefer called Ahavat Chesed. In the beginning of the sefer, he gives an introduction in terms of the importance of Chesed, and he has the following, and I'll read to you just one line in conclusion, one teaching that he has about difficult times when we're facing, Am Yisrael is facing what he calls a time of midat hadin, that we feel the strain, that we feel the difficulty, that we feel the trauma, that we feel suffering. And how is it that we are to respond at those times? So he writes the following, and I'm quoting to you and translating to you from Ahavat Chesed. This is Chelek Bet Per Chamishi, and these are the words, the writing of the Chofetz Chaim. Shebemidat adin gavra ma'od ha'olam. When the world is facing, when the Jewish people are facing a very, very difficult time, a time of suffering, a time that we can call a midat adin, and I think all of us can relate to this time as a midat adin that somehow has overtaken the Jewish people in the last weeks. Ve'ein shum eitza linatzel midei tzarot hamitchadshot yom yom. And somehow the difficulties, the tzara, that we find them day in and day out, and here we are with soldiers on the front line, with hostages that are still being held in captive. So there's great tzara that we're living with on a daily basis, and those are the days that we're in. That's the environment, that's the atmosphere, that's the reality that we are facing. Says the Chofetz Chaim, Ma me'od yesh lihitchazek b'midat hachesed. That if there's a midat adin in the world, that all of us need to take hold of midat chesed, that we need to be engaged in more and more chesed during these days. Kidei shal yidei zeh, that through this, please God, yitorer, will awaken midat chesed ha'elyonah, that there'll be a great outpouring of chesed from Shemayim, from Hashem, from the Almighty at this time as well. So this is a time, says the Chofetz Chaim, and for myself and for all of us here to share the advice of the Chofetz Chaim at a time of the midat adin, that we increase midat chesed, greater kindness to one another, a smile to one another, a good word to one another, reaching out to one another with an email, with a WhatsApp, seeing how everyone is doing. And again, the volunteer work that we're all engaged in, it's giving tzedakah, it's giving to those that are in need during this time, to reach out to one another, to take part in volunteer activities. These are all ways of increasing chesed, and says the Chofetz Chaim that this is a way to respond, and maybe one of the most significant ways to respond when midat adin is present in the world, that we overcome that midat adin with midat chesed, and that from Shemayim, from Hashem, that we should see Yeshuot and Nechama, that we should see salvation, we should see Nechama, that Hashem should bring comfort to all those that are suffering at this time, for all of Am Yisrael. And with that, I'll conclude my words of Chizuk, and we'll just join in together. Again, you can join in together with me with the words of Achenu, or have it in mind. In this prayer, of course, we're praying for Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael, that all of our brethren, and that's all of us, really, it's our soldiers, it's those that are kidnapped, it's those that have been injured, but it's each and every one of us that are going through difficult times, that we have each and every Jew in mind, and we ask Hashem for rachamim, that Hashem should bring comfort and salvation. So we'll join in with those words, Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael, Hanitunim B'tzara Uveshivya Ha'omdim Bein Bayam Uvein Bayavasha Hamakom Yirachem Aleihem. V'yotziei mitzara lirvacha u'me'afela le'ora u'mishibud ligula hashta bagala uvizman kariv. That day should come soon, the geula should come soon, salvation and nechama. And I wish everyone a good day. Everyone should be safe. Everyone should be well. And looking forward to seeing you soon. Be'ezrat Hashem.